3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
The Boilermakers will start a 2-game road trip this week, taking on the Wisconsin Badgers at historic Camp Randall Stadium on Saturday. Kickoff will be at 12:01 Eastern Time. Our coverage will start at 11 o'clock, and then next week the Boilermakers will play for a trophy, playing for the Cannon Trophy in Champaign against the Fighting Illini. Good evening, everybody. From Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union, it is Purdue Football Live. We'll be talking with the head coach. Ryan Walters is with us tonight. Also, a little bit later in the show, we'll have Marcus Mbow, who is a native of Wisconsin, getting ready to head back to his home state, along with Geron Tibs. You can follow along tonight. We're on Facebook and on X at Purdue Athletics. If you're on Facebook, let us know where you're watching. If you have a question, we can pass that along as well. We will have the head coach when we come back. Again, it is Purdue Football Live, and we're on the Purdue Global Sports Network from Learfield.
Movable so far for sure. Here's Card, scanning Card going up top, and it is complete. Brought down by Tibbs, Geron Tibs. Another give. Here's Love. Love straight up the gut. Opens up nicely and down to the 35 run. Give goes to Johnson. Ramir Johnson is stopped up for a loss.
The confidence is similar. Let's see what this Nebraska offense can do.
Make it to Dowdell. Raiola tripped up and down he goes. 42 this time from 44 yards away. And the Holes kick is blocked. Purdue got a hand on it, and Purdue scoops it up. It's Nyland Green.
Moving up the charts on the all-time Purdue rushing list.
0 for 4 on third down, trying to get themselves going, and that is how you do it.
He's open. Every part of the field is locked.
If Hole can get this kick in there, he can. He has another one blocked, and Purdue scoops it up. So a couple of times now, the Boilermakers down for Hudson Card, 3rd and 4. Delivers, it's his big tight end. It had some space. Heavy formation for Purdue. 3rd and an inch. Maccabee, never a doubt. Slashing through that offensive line inside the 40. And that's Singleton coming into the game, and they already have a missed field goal thus far. Porath, can he get us the first points? Yes, sir. Card drops, puts one up top, and maybe his best throw of the day, complete to Max Clary.
To win these games against more quality opponents.
Card firing end zone, and that is caught for the touchdown. Leland Smith. Boilermakers can use a few more plays like that as the season unfolds.
We get more of those.
To Purdue Football Live. We're live at Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union, where there's validated parking and kids eat free on Tuesdays. The 2024 Purdue football season is presented by Purdue Global. Earn a degree you'll be proud of with Purdue Global, Purdue's online university for working adults and the preferred online university degree provider of the Guild and Team USA Learning Network. Start your comeback today at purdueglobal.edu. Joined by the head coach. And, Coach, we're going to talk about Nebraska. We're going to talk a little bit about Wisconsin, but I think we have to start with the news earlier this week. You made a change in the offensive coordinator position. One of the great things about athletics is you get to meet a lot of people. The bad news sometimes is decisions have to be made that are difficult. Talk about the timing and what you hope to accomplish here in the last 8 games of the season.
Obviously my job is to make sure that I'm doing everything I can to help our guys have the best success possible, right? And definitely a difficult decision. I think the world of G, and he's a great friend of mine. Love his family dearly, but this is a business, and I felt like we weren't giving our guys the best opportunity to go perform and showcase their talents, and so I decided to make a change. I thought it was necessary. I felt like if I didn't do so, it was like waving a white flag on the season, and we got 8 games, and I still feel like this is a talented group, and we got a chance to go play 8 games, and all of the things that we want to accomplish are still in front of us, and so that was the reason behind the timing. The guys have responded the way you would hope they would respond. We had a great week of practice, very spirited, very detailed, and it's been fun sort of being over on the offensive side of things. And I think the guys have appreciated the different perspective on the game coming from a defensive guy. I think Coach Simmons has done a great job with his leadership, his organization, and his ability to connect with the team. They were all excited that it was him that was tapped to call plays, so here we are.
We'll talk about Coach Simmons in a minute, but I think it's also worth pointing out that when you make a change in season, it's difficult, if not impossible, to bring somebody in from the outside to try to implement a new system. And that's something that takes weeks, months, sometimes years to employ. And you're asking to do it in 3 days before you take on a pretty good Wisconsin team.
Right. That's why you can't do that, right? I think there's, obviously we'll have new wrinkles, new plays, new personnel groupings, but the vocab is the same. The concepts that we felt still gave us a chance to move the ball and put points on the board, we kept, and we're emphasizing other concepts that we didn't use a lot of. And like I said, the guys have handled it fantastically. I have no idea what it's going to look like Saturday, right? But if there's any indication of what Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday has looked like, I'm excited for 11 o'clock in Madison.
For people who don't know Jason Simmons, tell us a little bit about, we know his background. He came from Miami, Ohio, played football there, was a coach there last year, spent more than 2 decades coaching high school football in Indiana. What about him led you to hire him as an analyst and now to put him into this position?
Yeah, just through the interview process, just his football IQ, his calm, organized confidence, and like I said, earlier, just ability to connect with people and to lead people. That was that's why I made the decision I made. I didn't want the position coaches to change their daily routine and put added duties to what they have already on their plate. And so I thought, him being older, mature, he's called plays before, albeit in high school, but he did that at a really high level that got him hired at the collegiate level. And football is football, and so it's about running and blocking and throwing and catching and numbers and trying to get guys in space and easy completions and leverage in the run game and all those things. So I'm excited, with the direction we headed this week, and let's go compete on Saturday.
We talk about you really can't make wholesale changes like putting in a new system, but you can make tweaks throughout the season. We saw that on the defensive side of the football this week. You moved Dylan Thieneman around. You moved Geron Jenkins around. As you went back and looked at that, how did you think that went?
I thought it went, really well. I think it was, 7-3 going into the fourth quarter. Blocked a couple kicks, had some success on some third downs, just kind of wore down at the end of the game and misfit a couple things, and next thing you know, there's 28 points on the board quickly, you know what I mean? So, hopefully, we can continue to move in the right direction on defense and put points on the board on offense to play complementary football.
We have seen Geron Jenkins, I think, the last couple of weeks really settle into whatever position he's in, 16 tackles against Oregon State, and we're starting to see, I think, the KJ that we've seen in the past year at Purdue. Absolutely.
We saw him the first week. The second week was obviously nobody played well, and it's still 4 games into the season. We got 8 games left. We're only a quarter into the season, and 1 game in the Big Ten. So we're excited. I know people are frustrated, right? As fans should be. Like I said before, I'm a Laker fan. Every time the Lakers lose, I'm ready to fire everybody on the roster, right? But at the same time, we have approached every week like it's the most important game of the season. We'll continue to improve. We're continuing to get healthy and get guys back as well. And the guys have approached their work and their craft the way you would expect a mature and hungry team to do so.
All right, need to take a break. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. This is Purdue Football Live on the Purdue Global Sports Network from Learfield.
heavy battle in Minneapolis is number 10 Purdue visits number 16 Minnesota. The Gophers carrying a 7-match win streak.
Do you think this has ever been easy? Winning this league? It's never been easy. This team will get there. I believe that with my entire heart. We have what we need. We will get there. The team that goes out and executes, that has the leadership, that shows up to play, and plays with that incredible purpose, will win the matches.
Raven Colvin slicing it across the court. She's a monster making it tough on the Gophers. And that lands it in. She froze Minnesota. That's kept up by Warnock. Chicoine. Houston gets it.
We got to be confident in who we are. Okay, we got excellent players that get excellent shots. We got to go out there and take advantage of that when we can. Okay.
What a stuff there by Coleman. And the Bullets. That's the offense that they want to try and uncover. It's back to back for McAleer. There's not been an answer. Making plays at the net as well. And Purdue will take set 3. Takes care of business. Myers in there on the stop. And it's stopped single-handedly by Hudson. And Minnesota will send it to 5.
Chloe Chicoine is a gamer, and she's going to swing hard.
Raven Colvin and Anderson put up a quick wall. 7 aces. Make it 3 straight.
My goodness, Julian King.
The Boilermakers right the ship, and they take care of Minnesota.
Welcome back to Purdue Football Live. Again, we're at Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union. Want to say hi to Brent in 12 Mile, Indiana, and Matt from Syracuse. Keep those comments coming in of where you're watching tonight as we get ready for the Wisconsin Badgers. Again, an 11 o'clock local kickoff, noon Eastern time. The Illinois game, by the way, a 3:30 Eastern time kickoff. And then the next home game for Purdue is a Friday night game against the Oregon Ducks. That'll be an 8 o'clock kick. So we've got our next 3 kickoff times before the bye. Let's talk a little bit about the Nebraska game, and let's talk really, I think, a highlight of the season so far. Ryan has been the play of your special teams. Purdue is, I believe, the only program that's blocked 3 kicks. You had a block punt, a couple of blocked field goals. Your return game has been okay, and coverage has been pretty good. So you've got to be happy with that phase of the game.
Yeah, definitely. I think we got the best special teams coordinator in the country, and Chris Petrelli. Just the way he approaches his craft and the way he gets guys to buy in and play hard for him, and the plans that he puts together on game day are phenomenal. I don't ever have to worry about special teams knowing that he's in charge, and our guys have made plays and done things at a high level and played with great effort.
You had a long drive. It was a scoreless first half. You had a long drive to start the second half, and I thought we saw a little bit from Spencer Porath because he had missed his first field goal attempt pretty badly in the first half, and he comes in and hits a 45-yarder to give you the lead 3-0, and I thought that showed a little bit of the mettle that you said he had coming in.
Yeah, he's got some moxie to him. He's a competitive individual, and he's a football player. He's not just a kicker, right? And so it was good to see him brush that first one off and bang that second one. Hopefully that'll build confidence for him moving forward.
Unfortunately, then Nebraska got its offense going. As you looked at the first half and the second half, as you broke down the film, what were the differences? You mentioned maybe a couple of misfits, a couple of missed assignments, but what did you see differently from those first 2 quarters to the last 2?
We extended drives with penalties. Usually when you do that leads to points. Like I said, we misfit a couple runs, miscommunication on one of the fly sweeps, and we had stopped that play early in the game. And then we threw a pick six. And there you go. There's your 28 points.
We talked after the game, and I asked you about penalties, and it reminds me when we asked Matt Painter about turnovers, he said you can't lump all turnovers together because there are some that wind up in your basket, and there are some you throw the ball into the fourth row of the stands, and it doesn't really hurt you. As you go back and you look at some of the pre-snap penalties as opposed to the in-play or post-snap, what are you seeing, and again, how do you address that and make sure that it's corrected as you go forward?
Yeah, one, the pre and post snap penalties are inexcusable, and those are the things that get you beat. Penalties that happen between the snap and the whistle, sometimes they happen, right? We had some pass interference calls. We also turned in some pass interference calls that later came back that they shouldn't have been called, and so those are some judgment deals. So you teach off of the tape.
Right.
You emphasize the technique and you try to improve. What I'm saying. So, but the pre and post snap ones, those are the ones that drive you nuts. The personal fouls drive you nuts.
Right.
Those are undisciplined penalties.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned turning in the tape because I was going to ask what the procedure, and we've talked to a lot of coaches over the years, and some of them have different philosophies, both in game and how you deal with officials, and then afterward. What's your philosophy in the game? We've had coaches here that are screaming in officials' ears the entire game. How do you like to handle the guys with the stripes during a ball game?
I don't know if I can talk about that on the air, but they do drive you crazy. Anytime you feel like they're impacting the game,
yeah.
it drives you nuts. And as long as they're consistent on both sides of the ball, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's not called the same, you get frustrated. But they got a job and they're humans, but they do get an earful, especially during TV timeouts.
Well, we see you out in the field every once in a while in the year. You have a little bit of a fine line too because you want to stick up for your players. But if you see a call right in front of you and it's an obvious pass interference call and your guy is upset, on one hand you want to protect that guy, but on the other hand, if it's kind of like crying wolf. If you're crying wolf all the time, then the officials might not take you seriously.
I'm not on them unless I know I'm right. You know what I mean? And so when you know you're right, then you get real frustrated, and it takes a lot to get me frustrated. But once I'm frustrated, it's hard to get off of it. And so they definitely know when I'm upset.
Understood. All right, we'll have more with the coach after this. It is Purdue Football Live on the Purdue Global Sports Network from Learfield.
Week, the coaches, they didn't come in there and yell and scream, man. I'll tell you, the seniors, that senior class, they wanted that Notre Dame game bad. They wanted a piece of Coletto. I mean, the Billy Dickens, the Brian Niceleys, the Greg Smiths, the Leo Perez's, the Lee Brushes, all those guys, they wanted that game. That senior class, man, they deserved that win.
Vinny, as you go back and look at that game, you mentioned the loss to Toledo the week before. So I'm sure everybody outside of the locker room is doubting whether this team is going to be any better than it had been the years before. When was it in that week, or was there ever a time that you had lost confidence or that you knew that, hey, we're ready to go Saturday, we can beat these guys?
I mean, it was more just a pissed off senior class. Nothing got away from us. It was such a back to work feeling that Tiller and the staff put on us, and that senior class had an edge. It really had an edge, and a great group of guys. They're all still close, and literally they were determined.
Just got the congratulations from the opposing coach, Bob Davey. It's pandemonium, coach. Open year.
I hope we have a whole lot more of these. It's a great win for Purdue. First of many, we hope.
Does this validate your type of offense here? Does this validate your type of offense?
I can hear you. It's a great win.
Does this validate your type of offense?
A lot of pent-up emotion coming out, not only from the fans, but I think from the players who had suffered through losing season after losing season. Anytime you can beat Notre Dame, it's a big deal. It was validation that what he was doing could work in the Big Ten, could work against national competition. And as we saw, Purdue going to a Rose Bowl a couple of years later, I think the hire was a good one.
A quiet week.
Welcome back to Purdue Football Live. We're live at Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union, where there's validated parking and kids eat free on Tuesdays. Again, Purdue and Wisconsin taking on the weather. The weather should be good, actually. It looks like 78 degrees and partly cloudy, but for the first time this year, we may be dealing with some wind, 15 to 25 out of the south-southeast, so that could be a factor in that football game. We'll talk more about the Badgers a little bit later on. You got Nyland Green back in the lineup, and there's a question here from somebody. What have you told your corners about being too aggressive outside? We saw Nyland pick up some penalties, and you know as a DB that you've got to be aggressive, but there is a line, again, that you've got to make sure that you're on the right side of. So how do you coach that to right up to that line? Yeah, I mean, 2 of the penalties, we got told that they shouldn't have been thrown. So I told them to keep being aggressive. Keep doing what you're doing. You know, obviously, like if you're grabbing, you can't grab, but if you're looking back for the ball and you're in position to play the ball, you got to play it. But yeah, we teach. I've been coaching corners for a long time. Got a lot of them that are in the NFL, and I'm not changing the technique that I'm teaching. But yeah, you can't grab, you can't get there early, and you got to get your head back to look for the football. What was it about Nyland that really attracted you to bring him here from Georgia? What are his best attributes? 6'2", 190, 195, quick, long, big hands. He's physical. He's got great range, great ball skills, good football player. Another guy who's been out with injuries the last couple of games but came back and had a sack on Saturday, Winston Berglund from nearby Carmel, and it was great to see him make an impact back on the field. Absolutely. A guy that can really run for his size, very aggressive. Glad to have him back in the lineup. Yeah, he's a guy, too. I met with he and his father when he was here for his official visit, and they weren't sure at that point. I don't think even the dad and Winston were sure what his position would be, because at the time he was playing defensive back, but they kind of thought he was going to eat his way into being a linebacker, and that's what's happened. Yeah, absolutely. When he got here, he was not keen to wanting to play linebacker. But you could tell he was trying real hard to stay at that 205, 210 range. And I said, hey, Winnie, why don't you just let yourself get big, see what happens. And then, it felt like you blinked and he was 235. Yeah. So he's right where he should be. Another guy that's making an impact, and we're seeing more and more, D'Amico Kennedy, a true freshman on that defensive line. Tell us what you like about him and where you think his ceiling might be. Yeah, I mean, his ceiling is up to him. He's only a freshman. He's got a long ways to go still. We are banged up at that position, but he's got a lot of lateral and quick twitch, and he's 300 pounds as a freshman, and to be able to move the way he does and have the feet and the hand speed that he has, once he puts it all together, he could be special. We're going to be talking with Geron Tibs on the next segment, and both he and Leland Smith have something you can't teach, and that's size, and we're starting to see that size, and Hudson Card trusting it at times and throwing the ball up there and letting them make some plays. Yeah, we got to give them more opportunities. We've got these tall, long receivers, and they make plays when we give them opportunities too. So hopefully we'll see a lot more of them. Another guy that we called a lot out on the broadcast on Saturday, Yanni Karloftis, I thought was pretty active against the Cornhuskers last week. Yeah, their philosophy running the football. The ball found him a lot in his responsibility within the framework of the defense, and he was in position to make plays, and so he made plays. And so he's done a good job of doing his job and trying to be as physical as possible while he's doing so. 4 games into the season, Ryan, are you again, lineups can change every week, but are you feel like you're kind of set on a rotation now on both sides of the ball, of liking what you've got? Or are you still doing some tweaking at that point? You're forever evaluating, and competition is real every day. But I've always had belief in the roster. We just got to put them in positions to go make plays. All right, we're going to talk to one of those playmakers when we come back. Geron Tibs will join us next. It is Purdue Football Live on the Purdue Global Sports Network from Learfield.
Welcome inside Boiler Center. I'm your host, Craig Combs, and this continues to be your source for anything and everything that is Purdue Boilermaker athletics. Ahead, the soccer team goes duck hunting in the Pacific Northwest, while the football team loses a tight one at home. But first, a record-breaking performance in the land of 10,000 lakes. The second top 25 matchup for the Boilers in 4 days saw them clash with the 16th ranked Minnesota Golden Gophers. An A-plus performance was required and an A-plus performance was delivered. 17 aces, the second most service aces in program history, and the most in a match since 1987, which also was against the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Purdue took sets 1 and 3 while the Gophers got sets 2 and 4, pushing the match to the limit. That's when the Purdue service really got on a roll, scoring 5 of its 15 points with aces. That included a run of 3 straight by Julia Kane and 6 from freshman standout Ryan McAleer. A is for ace indeed, as senior Raven Colvin with an All-American performance, a career-high 19 kills and 5 blocks. Oh, and those aces, 7 of them, also a team high and career high. The Boilermakers rode the wave of aces and outlast the top 25 ranked Gophers in 5. Monday afternoon, head coach Dave Shondell talked about the impressive service performance by his team.
The balls that Raven Colvin started the match, and that's when it started. Raven Colvin fired some missiles over the net to begin the match, and that got them on their heels right away. And then Ryan McAleer gave a steady diet of bullets, barely topping the net and serving it deep and aggressively. And then what Julia Kane did in the 5th set. Julia Kane never played a year ago. Julia Kane didn't play much until about 2 weeks ago. But she has absolutely zero fear in anything.
Purdue's soccer team was in the Pacific Northwest last week, splitting a pair of Big Ten matchups. The Boilermakers fell to Washington 2-0 on Thursday night, despite a career-high 8 saves from sophomore keeper Emily Edwards. She kept the Huskies off the board for the first hour of the match before conceding 2 goals in the game's final 25 minutes. The Boilermakers then headed to Eugene to take on the Oregon Ducks Sunday afternoon. Purdue scored less than 10 minutes into the game on a Chiara Cinderella corner kick. Teammate Amelia Deppy got on the other end and knocked home her first career goal. The Boilermakers found the framework twice later in the game but couldn't convert. However, Edwards added 3 saves and secured the clean sheet. The win improves Purdue to 6-5-1 on the season, 2-3 in Big Ten play.
Purdue Athletics would like to thank and recognize members of the Black and Gold.
Craig Combs, and this.
At the highest level, Black and Gold Club members include Indiana Packers, Molson Coors, Purdue Federal Credit Union, Purdue Global, State Farm Insurance, Toyota, and Wabash. Each are great partners of Purdue Athletics. You're listening to Purdue Football Live. We're at Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union, and we are joined by Geron Tibs. He is a sophomore wide receiver from Indianapolis, from Cathedral High School. Talk about your high school career. You were both football and basketball player. Was there ever a decision that had to be made of which you were going to go to collegiately?
Yeah, my whole time playing in high school, I was kind of playing both, and I really didn't have a decision of which one I wanted to play in high school and college. But then my junior year, it was getting around the time where everybody was coming in and stuff, and I just had more offers in football. So I was like, that's where my money's going to come from. So I just decided football.
So 6'3"? Is that what you're 6'3"?
Yeah,
I assume you were guard, right? What would you have played if you had gone collegiate? Are you point guard, shooting guard?
Yeah, definitely point guard. In college, I had to be point guard.
Okay. All right. Well, there's always a fifth here just in case Coach Painter's listening. How did each sport help you in the other? How did basketball help you with football and vice versa?
Basketball definitely helped me with football. Just like high pointing the ball. It's just a rebound. And kind of just having a defender on me trying to get to the basket is just like a defender trying to guard you in basketball. And for football, helping me with basketball, just being tough, making all the dirty plays, getting rebounds, steals, stuff like that.
You mentioned the offers coming in. What was it that drew you to become a Boilermaker?
Honestly, it was kind of my connection with David Bell because I saw all the success he had at Purdue.
Pretty good basketball player,
yeah,
too.
He was a good basketball player, too. And I was actually at the game. He won, I think it was semi-state. He had a game winner and stuff. So that kind of is what led me to Purdue.
You have 5 siblings, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're where are you in the pecking order in terms of age?
I'm the youngest. Mm-hmm.
So you got beat on pretty much. I mean, not just be beat on, but I mean, you know, I'm sure your siblings did not take it easy on you.
Yeah, not at all. That's kind of where I get my toughness from. My siblings just used to dog me out all the time, but
you turned out to be the best athlete, right?
Yeah, exactly.
See how that works? Kind of funny how that works.
Paid off.
You got to play a little bit last season. We're seeing more and more action this year. Are you feeling more comfortable on the field right now?
Definitely feeling more comfortable. Last year, that kind of threw me into the fire just with the our depth at receiver last year, but now it kind of helped me because I'm more comfortable. The game slowed down more.
You got your first touchdown this year against Indiana State. What is it like to score a touchdown and have 60,000 some people cheer for you?
It's a different type of feeling. You can't really put it into words unless you've been there before.
Talk about the connection you have with Hudson Card, because you guys have to work together, and you spend the entire offseason, the summer, working and getting that timing down. How long does it take for that really to come together with a quarterback?
Honestly, it takes a while, and it's always like a relationship that's always growing because, like you said, in the summer we were just getting lots of reps at all the routes from the inside and the outside, so it's just a connection that's always growing.
Have you ever been to Camp Randall Stadium before?
No, this will be my first time.
Okay, at the end of the third quarter, they play this song, Jump Around. The field shakes a little bit, I've heard, so be ready for that.
Yeah.
And hopefully you'll be leading at the time, so you'll be able to celebrate that.
Exactly.
It has to be exciting, though, Geron, playing. I mean, you're going to be playing later this year at Ohio Stadium, not only playing in front of a full house at Ross 8, but in some of the great college football stadiums in the country. And I would assume that you've got to be a little bit fired up to do that and use that crowd to your advantage.
Exactly. No, it's exciting because it's just like I've always watched it from my couch, watching on the TV, and I'm like, dang, that looks cool to play in, and now I'm finally playing in it, so I'm going to just take advantage of every moment I'm out there and just kind of soak it in.
You are a kinesiology major, is that correct? When football is done, many years from now, what do you hope to do?
Something in sports medicine, probably athletic training or physical therapy.
When did you start playing football? We mentioned that you play both football and basketball. When did you start playing, and when did you realize that you were pretty good at it?
I started playing football around, since I could really remember, I'd probably say since I was 8 or 9, but I was kind of more basketball my whole life, and then high school I started kind of taking off in football, but I wasn't really focused on it. And then, like I said earlier, at the end when it was my time to decide, I was just way better in football, so I just decided to stick with that.
Well, I have a feeling the best is yet to come. We can't wait to see what you do here the next 2 years plus, and good luck this Saturday against the Badgers.
Appreciate it.
All right, we're going to talk with a Wisconsin native when we come back. Marcus Mbow will join us next. This is Purdue Football Live on the Purdue Global Sports Network from Learfield.
Been a movable so far for sure. Here's Card, standing Card going up top, and it is complete. Brought down by Tibs, Geron Tibs. Another give. Here's Love. Love straight up the gut. Opens up nicely and down to the 35 run. Give goes to Johnson. But Johnson is stopped up for a loss.
The confidence is similar. Let's see what this Nebraska offense can do.
Make it to Dowdell. Rattler tripped up and down he goes. 42 this time from 44 yards away. And a Holes kick is blocked. Purdue got a hand on it, and Purdue scoops it up. It's Nyland Green.
Moving up the charts on the all-time Purdue rushing yards.
0 for 4 on third down, trying to get themselves going, and that is how you do it.
He's open. Every part of the field is locked.
Holt can get this taken there. He can. He has another one blocked, and Purdue scoops it up. So a couple of times now, the Boilermakers down for Hudson Card, 3rd and 4. Delivers, it's his big tight end. It had some heavy formation for Purdue. 3rd and an inch. Maccabee, never a doubt. Slashing through that offensive line inside the 40. And that's Singleton coming into the game, and they already have a missed field goal thus far. Porath, can he get us the first points? Yes, sir. Card drops puts one up top, and maybe his best throw of the day complete to Max Clary.
To win these games against more quality opponents.
Hard firing end zone, and that is caught for the touchdown. Leland Smith. Boilermakers can use a few more plays like that as the season unfolds.
We get more of
Welcome back to Purdue Football Live. We're live at Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union, where there's validated parking and kids eat for free on Tuesdays. It's time for the Pro Boilers feature, where we look at how former Purdue student athletes are doing in their professional sports careers. Pro Boilers is presented by Indiana Kitchen Premium Pork Products. Get to know us at IndianaKitchen.com. Both our Pro Boilers and Indiana Kitchen are boiler-made. Seems like we talk about George Karlaftis every week, but he's really good. 3 tackles and a quarterback hit last week for Kansas City in the win over San Diego. Tyrone Tracy Jr. caught a 19-yard pass and hit to return 2 kicks for a total of 33 yards, and the Giants lost to Dallas. And Sanusi Kane, who played at Purdue last year, had 5 defensive snaps. Those were his first defensive snaps of the year. He had 15 special team snaps as well in Baltimore's big win over Buffalo. Marcus Mbow is joining us. Marcus's last name is spelled M-B-O-W. How many different ways has that been mispronounced in your life?
An infinite amount.
What's your favorite? Is there one that sticks out above the others?
The worst one I've heard is Mbow.
Mbow. All right. Well, you have NIL out there. If McDonald's is listening, you could change your name to Mbow for the right amount, right?
Come on.
I mentioned you are a Milwaukee native, so you're from Wisconsin. Drew Bibber is the other Boilermaker who's from Wisconsin. What's the ticket situation for Saturday? Do you have everybody taken care of?
It's steep. Yeah, they're taken care of, though. About 15 so far.
All right.
Well, maybe a little over.
You have to do a little horse trading with teammates on this, or you a little bit of that?
Yeah,
okay,
for sure.
Talk about this season so far. You've started at the right tackle position, which is different. You have been a guard. You've been a tackle. Other than where you line up, is there different technique, or what is the biggest difference between playing guard and tackle?
I feel like the difference is just like whenever you're at tackle, it's more of an island. You're kind of on your own. There's more space to work with. There's a lot more speed that you're going against. You know what I mean? I feel like it's a completely different position, but it's so similar, but it's so different with the players that you're going against and just how much space you're working with every time.
Now, you seem to be a very mild-mannered person as you sit here, but offensive linemen have to have this mentality. When does that switch flip for you? When do you get into, okay, it's time to go to battle here on Saturday?
Every Saturday.
Yeah. I mean, like going into the game, how long before the game? When do you put your game face on every week?
I'd probably say, I wouldn't say I'm like too tense all day, leading up to the game, but I'd probably say like maybe an hour or 2 before. It's time to go.
All units have to be very cohesive, but I think there's no unit that's more true of than the offensive line, because you guys really have to know what each other is doing. I asked Geron earlier about how the timing goes between he and the quarterback. With you guys, the communication, especially when you get into a situation like Saturday where it's going to be deafening at times, how important is that, and how long does it take to gel as an offensive line?
Communication is key. Always in a lot of things in life, but especially when it comes to working as a group of 5, trying to work as one. Our coach always says if one person is wrong, or if everybody's wrong, we're all right. So at the end of the day, as long as everybody's working together and especially communicating, and then emphasizing on communicating, everything will be fine.
How difficult is it for you in a situation like this week at Camp Randall, where you're going to have all these screaming fans? You're 2 players away from where the football is. You got to make sure that you get off on the snap. How difficult is that?
If it gets hard sometimes, but if you really just hone in and focus on what you got to do, it gets simple. Just keep the ball in your eye, a little corner of your eye, you'll be all right.
Talk about your position coach. Personality-wise, how do you? What do you like the most about what he does?
I love Coach Johnson. He's been a great help for me since he's gotten here, and for personality-wise, I just think he's a great person who doesn't try and overcoach. You know what I mean? Like if one thing works for one person that doesn't work for another, he's not going to try and force it on you. You know what I mean? He's going to make sure that you can get the job done however you need to get the job done.
You've played in some great venues so far. You played against some great players. Can you talk about maybe 1 or 2 of the toughest players you've had to try and block, whether it's in this conference or in non-conference action?
Every time I get this question, I always say Mozzie Smith.
Yeah.
When I was a redshirt freshman, going against him in the Big Ten championship game was a pretty solid matchup.
He's from Michigan. Yep. Yeah. That's not too bad. You are a law and society major. So again, once the football days are done, what do you want to do with your degree at some point?
Honestly, I'm not 100% sure yet. I want to be working on, hopefully owning my own business of some sort. Maybe it has to do with cars or car washing. I do like taking care of my car and cleaning things. So I feel like opening a nice little car wash would be nice.
I don't know, Mbow's Wash. I think you got to go back to that. It's got a nice ring to it, doesn't it?
I think there's a lot of things you can make with that.
There you go. Hey, Marcus, congratulations on a great career so far, and good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
All right, we'll have the head coach back with us after this. This is Purdue Football Live on the Purdue Global Sports Network from Learfield.
Top 20 battle in Minneapolis is number 10 Purdue visits number 16 Minnesota. The Gophers carry a 7-match win streak.
Do you think this has ever been easy? Winning this league? It's never been easy. This team will get there. I believe that with my entire heart. We have what we need. We will get there. The team that goes out and executes, that has the leadership, that shows up to play, and plays with that incredible purpose, will win the matches.
Slicing it across the court. She's a monster on it. Making it tough on the Gophers. And that lands it in. She froze Minnesota. That's kept up by Warnock. Chacoy. Houston gets it.
We got to be confident in who we are. Okay, we got excellent players that get excellent shots. We got to go out and take advantage of that when we can. Okay.
What a stuff there by Coleman. And the Bullers. That's the offense that they want to try and uncover. It's back to back for McAleer. There's not been an answer. Making plays at the net as well. And Purdue will take set 3. Takes care of business. Myers in there on the stop. And it's stopped single-handedly by Hudson. And Minnesota will send it to 5.
Chloe Chacoin is a gamer, and she's going to swing hard.
Ravenholman and Anderson put up a quick walk. 7 aces. Make it 3 straight.
My goodness, Julian King.
The Boilermakers right the ship, and they take care of Minnesota.
Hey, way to finish. All right, keep being good. Keep being good. Starts on Monday. Get ready for no play.
The 2024 Purdue football season is presented by Purdue Global. Earn a degree you'll be proud of with Purdue Global, Purdue's online university for working adults, and the preferred online university degree provider of the Guild and Team USA Learning Network. Start your comeback today at purdueglobal.edu. I think coaches enjoy, Ryan, versatility, and Marcus Mbow is a guy who has shown versatility moving at different spots in the offensive line. What makes him a good football player?
Extremely intelligent and very athletic. He does things that most offensive linemen can't do. Some of the techniques he uses you don't teach because not everybody can do them. So he's also very physical and strong at the point of contact, and his just knack for understanding leverage and be able to move people is remarkable.
Trust is a very important trait to have in football, and probably nowhere more than on the offensive line. Those guys have to be able to trust each other and know what each other's going to do in a pressure situation.
Yep.
And how do you make sure that happens? That cohesiveness, obviously you can coach it, but they've got to build it from internally, I would assume.
They spend a lot of time, a lot of hours together, watching tape and hanging out, having meals, breaking bread, and communicating. I think he and Gus, they do a great job of commanding that offensive line, and it's been fun to see that those 5 guys work together.
Let's talk about the trip coming up, because the Wisconsin game is a noon kickoff. When you have an early start on the road, How does that change your schedule? Because I looked at the itinerary, pretty early wake-up call on Saturday.
Yeah, but we've had 12 o'clock kicks here, and we're still beyond our time zone. Right. It's only an hour flight away, so it won't be too much different. We practice in the mornings, and our guys are in the building by 6:30, and so we'll be up and ready to go.
You've had 4 games now with the helmet communication. This is the first time. Now, Oregon State had a decent crowd, but this is going to be twice as many people. How has that helped, and how has that made a difference in terms of getting your communication on the field?
Offensively, just being able to huddle so guys can't steal your signals. Defensively, it doesn't change it a whole lot. The Oregon State game, the helmet comm wasn't even working, so you still got to be able to signal and communicate, because that thing cuts off at the 15-second mark.
Right.
And if there's crowd noise, guys won't be able to hear each other on the field, so you got to be able to signal.
We'll talk a little bit about the Badgers in the last segment, but hey, I assume you've been to Camp Randall Stadium, right? You coached there with the Illini?
Yeah, I did. Last time I was there, we won.
Well, let's make it 2 in a row. How about that?
I would like that.
We mentioned the jump around thing. I know the press box shakes when they do that. Can you feel that on them in the field?
It didn't that day.
Well, I'm sure. Yeah, you're probably right.
But yeah, it is a great stadium, great atmosphere. I'm glad it's an 11 o'clock kick, because I don't know how much jumping they'll do that early.
That's true. We pray every year that the structural engineers have come in and studied that thing, because I got to tell you, that thing, you get a little seasick moving back and forth in that. And great, and it actually started in a Purdue game when Drew Brees is a quarterback.
Wow.
And so that goes back about 25 years. All right, we're going to talk about the Badgers and a little bit more about the Boilermakers on our final segment of Purdue Football Live. It's coming up on the Purdue Global Sports Network from Learfield.
Week. The coaches, they didn't come in there and yell and scream, man. I'll tell you, the seniors, that senior class, they wanted that Notre Dame game bad. They wanted a piece of Coletto. I mean, the Billy Dickens, the Brian Niceleys, the Greg Smiths, the Leo Perez's, the Lee Brushes, all those guys, they wanted that game. That senior class, man, they deserved that win.
Vinny, as you go back and look at that game, you mentioned the loss to Toledo the week before. So I'm sure everybody outside of the locker room is doubting whether this team is going to be any better than it had been the years before. When was it in that week, or was there ever a time that you had lost confidence, or that you knew that, hey, we're ready to go Saturday, we can beat these guys?
I mean, it was more just a pissed off senior class. Nothing got away from us. It was such a back to work feeling that Tiller and the staff put on us, and that senior class had an edge. It really had an edge, and a great group of guys. They're all still close, and literally they were determined.
Just got the congratulations from the opposing coach, Bob Davie. It's pandemonium, coach. Open year.
I hope we have a whole lot more of these. It's a great win for Purdue. First of many, we hope.
Does this validate your type of offense here? Does this validate your type of offense?
I didn't hear you. It's a great win.
Does this validate your type of offense?
A lot of pent-up emotion coming out, not only from the fans, but I think from the players who had suffered through losing season after losing season. Anytime you can beat Notre Dame, it's a big deal. It was validation that what he was doing could work in the Big Ten, could work against national competition. And as we saw, Purdue going to a Rose Bowl a couple of years later, I think the hire was a good one.
Quiet week.
Boilermakers and the Badgers coming up on Saturday. It'll be a noon kickoff, Eastern time. That means we're on the air at 11 o'clock. And there is a streak. Purdue has not beaten Wisconsin since 2003. It's 17 straight games, 8 straight up in Madison. For a lot of your players, 2003 doesn't matter because they weren't born in 2003.
Wow, I'm getting old.
There you go. Do you talk about that? Do you bring it up with the team? Is it a point of contention?
Not like a point of contention. Obviously, they know and are aware. Like, they're on social media, and social media likes to talk about a lot of things, right? And so you address it like, hey, you know, we got a chance to do something that hadn't been done in a long time, and in 17 contests. You know, before I got here, I was like, I had no idea that was a streak like that. So got a chance to be a part of history and you know, right the ship and go compete against a very well coached and a team that has a lot of pride and tradition. You know, I know and have worked with a lot of guys that went to school at Wisconsin, and there's a lot of proud alumni there.
Yep.
And you know, they've been a storied program for a reason. You know, they've the history of great coaches, great players, and it's in a great venue. So I'm excited to go play. You know, a hard-fought Big Ten game.
Wisconsin brought a quarterback named Tyler Van Dyke in on the transfer portal from Miami, Florida, and he got hurt in the first game. He's out for the season, so they've gone with Braden Locke, who's another transfer from Mississippi State. What do you see? What's his style of quarterback play?
Yeah, he's very efficient with the ball, and I think they do a good job of calling plays where he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. The guys around him are playing well as well. You know, they played USC tough. Like, they got out ahead of them and just had a couple mishaps there late, and the game kind of got out of hand, you know, at the end of the game. But you know, they jumped up on them, played, you know, really good defense, had some explosive plays on offense, and some timely plays on special teams. So, like I said, I got a ton of respect for Coach Fickell and what he's accomplished in his career, you know, both as a player and a coach. And his teams play hard. They're tough and physical, and it'll be a Big Ten game.
One of their more dynamic players is Will Pauling, and they'll line him up in a slot, but they'll run him around. He'll return kicks. He's kind of a jack of all trades, and he's a guy that hurt Purdue last season.
Yeah, very explosive player, and you got to know where he's at on the field at all times, because he can make you miss, and when he does, he can go get a touchdown.
Defensively, is this a typical Wisconsin team, or have they made changes on that side?
You know, a few tweaks. They still are, you know, they're still big up front. They come downhill in the run game. Try not to give up explosives in the back end, and don't make a ton of mistakes. Like I said, it's a well-coached team, and they've been playing good football for a long time.
You mentioned at the very beginning of the show you liked how the players have responded this week in practice, and we've talked all the time. The world can change in college athletics in a 3 or 4 hour span, and you've got another opportunity, as you said, to make some history on Saturday.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, we're a quarter of the way through the season, and we've got a lot of ball to play. You know, we'll continue to adjust and tweak and improve week to week, and I'm excited about our guys' approach, both as as players and staff. So let's go compete.
All right, the last thing, and we're going to bring up the turnovers. If we keep talking about, we think the turnovers will start to come.
So we're going to bring it.
I want to bring it up though, because
stop talking about them. Yeah. That's how they come.
There you
usually
go.
When they come in bunches. So yeah, it's been. I've never in my career have gone through 4 games with no takeaways, and so. You know, we've emphasized it in practice. We've had turnover circuits, you know, every week, and have really harped on it and showed videos of guys punching the ball out. And the problem is we got to start making people throw the ball. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we can get some sacks, some sack fumbles, and some interceptions. You know, they'll come, and you know, hopefully they come in bunches.
Ryan, we're looking forward to see this team go up and compete against Wisconsin. Good luck against the Badgers.
Thanks. Boiler up.
All right. Again, the Boilermakers and the Badgers will kick it off at noon Eastern. We'll be on the air at 11 o'clock for that one. And then the Boilermakers will take on the Fighting Illini a week from Saturday. That one will be a 3:30 Eastern kickoff. Thanks tonight to our engineer, Wes Scott, our producer, Hunter Skunkel, and video produced by McCarty Cummings. We'll be back here next Thursday night at 6:05 for another Purdue Football Live. We want to thank the head coach Ryan Walters, Marcus Mbow, and Geron Tibs. This is Tim Newton. We'll talk to you from Madison on Saturday. Good night, everybody.